Everyone, this is going to be, I think, the week 15 update. I missed a few. I just have had a lot going on. I've been really busy and a little overwhelmed, so sorry about that. Let's start with the stem plants in the 45 gallon because there's not as much to say. This is a couple weeks after I did the first pruning and things are looking decent. There is a little bit of string algae. You can see the bubbles on it since it's the end of the night and all the plants are pearling. So you can see all that pearling action going on and just a few strands of algae, which hopefully won't be too hard to clean up. But otherwise, look how red the blood red rotala on the right is. It looks amazing. I cannot believe what a difference these stronger lights made. Like, definitely something I struggled with in the past because lights are pretty expensive. But I think if you're doing a high-tech aquarium, that should probably be where you focus most of your budget. That's my opinion now, after being cheap for like 10 years. This is the first time I got a nicer light and it's the best results. As far as color goes, best results I've ever had. So yeah, glad that paid off because I was definitely worried it would not be worth it, but it was. Yeah, but the plants are doing pretty well. This tank is, the biggest problem with this tank is it's a 45 gallon high and the dimensions are horrible for a planted tank, aside from just keeping fish, it's not the best. I can show you, it looks kind of nice from the front, right? But if you look from the side, look at how narrow this aquarium is. It's only a foot wide. Like, that's crazy. So I always knew that was going to be an obstacle. I considered buying a deeper tank and I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to spend the money on that right now. I will in the future. This is just sort of an experiment to try these plants. But yeah, I thought that was, I saw that view, that angle the other day and I thought it looked so silly. I wanted to capture it on film. But yeah, anytime you design, just as a garden designer, like the worst beds to design a regular garden in are little narrow skinny beds. You need some depth to create interest, and I don't have that going on here, but I still think, you know, for what it is, I'm pretty happy with it. The stem plants are growing well. The algae hasn't been, aside from these little bit of string algae happening now at almost the 4-month point. It's not been bad. And the color is great on the plants. Menophila looks really nice on the left. Still, I'm not sure what's going on. Like, if you look at this big mass of the light green plants with all the bubbles from the pearling on it, to the left, this area here is supposed to be Didiplis deandra. And then to the right, it's supposed to be Rotala willickii. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the same exact plant. So I don't know which one was mislabeled. I got them from 2 different places, but neither one of them looks like what I expected them to look like, but I'd say it's closer to Rotala willickii than it is to the Didiplis. So I'm guessing that that was mislabeled. But yeah, aside from that, like the Pagostemon stellata Dawson, really attractive. And then of course the down eye, the Pagostemon helferi, doing really well. Sterogony, I pruned them. They're doing pretty well. And then such heavy pearling on the Myriophyllum Guyana. It's kind of a smaller, not as aggressively growing plant as I had hoped it would be, but I liked the color. So yeah, and then of course the blood red rotala is insane. It looks so nice. So anyway, that is the update on the 45. Still no fish. Don't even know if I'll get fish for it, since this is just sort of a plant experiment. But now we have to talk about the 46, the bow front, which is not as good news. If you look, you can see lots of string algae going on. It is just inundated. It happened pretty quickly. Like I said, I've been really busy. I didn't have time to deal with it. I saw it forming on the edges of the leaves. And then just within a few days, I didn't have time to deal with it. And then within a few days, it had just taken over, and there's just long strands, you know, a couple inches long on the edges of pretty much every plant in the tank. And just this is after I did a water change. I wish I'd taken video of it before. I didn't think of it. I just wanted to get it over with. But yeah, look at that. And then it's just everywhere. So I think I can't really narrow, like, look, it looks like spider webs all over the tank. It's so depressing because the tank was looking so great too for so long. Hard for me to narrow down exactly what the problem stemmed from, but I think it was like a combination of things. The first thing definitely I'm gonna say is I should not have got the Physidens moss. My goal was to stick with tissue culture plants to avoid introducing algae. I've had a problem with that in the past where Physidens, since as far as I'm aware in the US, it's not available tissue culture. So I've bought it, you know, just regular clump of it, and every time it's introduced some sort of algae to my tank. But on top of that, I will also say that I added the second light, and I just added it full strength. That was a stupid thing to do. Like I said, I've been busy. I just didn't think. Thought about, oh, I should change that, and never got around to it. So that probably didn't help. And on top of that, I also had that incident where my CO2 ran out. I was without a car for a while, so I couldn't buy more, but I had an old tank of CO2. And I don't know, you tell me, like, does CO2 go bad? Like, does it lose its effectiveness? Because I was able to set it up, reintroduce CO2 to the tank, but the drop checker never changed as much as it did, and there was never quite as much pearling after that happened. So I don't know if that played a part too. Like maybe, because the CO2 tank is from CO2 I think I bought during the pandemic, so that's like 5 years now, and I just had sitting around. So I don't know, those three things, probably I would say the light and the and introducing the moss were the heaviest contributors, but I'm not ruling out CO2 going bad either. Like, so I don't know, what do you think? I was considering getting some kind of fish to maybe try to help tackle it. I have Siamese algae eaters in another tank. I could introduce them, or I could get some new fish for it. But then there's so many baby shrimp. Let me see if I could find any of them. Probably not. Looks like they're all hiding now, but there are lots of them. They're growing really fast, which honestly kind of surprising. I've kept cherry shrimp in the past, but it's been a long time and I didn't remember them. They started out like microscopic ant-sized, and they're just like really, here's some over here. They're just really, these are two little babies. It's been maybe like a month, maybe a little longer, I'm not sure. But yeah, there are many of them. I don't want them to get eaten. And then today, while I was doing a water change, I saw a baby killifish, finally. And it's so tiny. Hopefully there are more of them. And the parent killifish are not, as far as I'm aware, very aggressive eaters of their young. So I don't want to introduce any other fish that might eat them. I already think the autocinclus are probably eating some of the eggs, because some of the ones I was monitoring disappeared and the autos were in that area. So ones that do make it, I want to give them the best chance at survival, and I think that would be just leaving the fish as they are. So I am stuck with this tank full of algae, and I'm just gonna have to, it's a little bit better. I did a pretty much a 50% water change today. I've just got to keep up on water changes and manually do my best to remove it and see what happens. But, you know, from a distance, if you don't look too closely, the tank still looks nice. Yeah, so that is the, I'm gonna say 15-week update. Just trying to do the math before. Definitely the stem plant tank at this point doing better than the tank on the right, the more nature aquarium type. But if it wasn't for that algae, I'd still be really happy with the one on the right. So yeah, that is my update. This was a really long one. If anyone is still watching, thank you. Yeah, and we'll see how things progress from here.